to a 2-week suspension for Coach Sherrone Moore. Plus, we have to get into the wild sports weekend of overtime thrillers, sold-out games, and much more. So hello and welcome into Front Office Sports Today from our FOS studio in New York City. I'm Renee Washington. My usual co-host is actually speaking at an event in Germany, so I've got our FOS editor-in-chief sitting alongside me.
That's right, I'm Dan Roberts. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to do my best Baker Machado impression today. Cannot wait to bring you guys the very latest at the intersection of sports, business, and culture. We have a big show ahead, so let's dive in with the shoot-around.
Yes, looking at what's going on down in D.C. Now, when you make your first NFC championship run in over 30 years behind an offensive rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels, apparently it's time to start planning for the future. The Washington Commanders have already announced a massive stadium project at the old stomping grounds of RFK Stadium that can reach around $4 billion. And now officially, today, they've shared plans to host the NFL Draft in 2027, Dan.
Draft in D.C., big business. In many ways, it brings in government in the area. Of course, it was President Trump that ended up announcing this news. He decided, I want in on the draft. I mean, to me, the real story here is the explosion of the draft as an in-person event. It's one thing to just watch on TV. And personally, I don't necessarily see it. Like, I'm an NFL fan, but I'm not dying to go to the draft. But I saw a list that put the NFL draft among the highest sports events that fans want to attend. And I think we saw that with the Nashville year, the Vegas year, even this year in Green Bay. I mean, people love attending the draft in person. And so I think you have to expect 2027 now to be one of the biggest drafts we've seen.
Yes, and it was a big draft this year. Pittsburgh has some pressure on them for next year. Well, numbers are also in for the Kentucky Derby. We had a chance to see viewership peaked at 21.8 million viewers just after 7 p.m. and Sovereignty closely knocked off the Derby favorite in journalism. And that's an 8% increase from last year. Now, Churchill Downs also announced an increase in wagering from across the entire day of races. The Derby totaled $349 million cha-ching, which is an increase from last year's record set. But there was a decrease in terms of in-person attendance by 6%. But I guess those 6% went at home because there was a 6% increase in at-home TV viewership, the highest that they've seen since 1989 and the biggest since NBC took over in 2001.
Well, there's a lot here, Renee. Yeah, I mean, I think part of this is that the Derby is almost unrivaled in terms of a really big event that happens in just, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is, 1 minute. In some ways, it's like watching Olympic racing, right? So everyone tunes in. In-person attendance down a little bit, fine. It's still like a really cool, unique event that I think a lot of people do aspire to attend in person. Daryl Barnes from our social team went, got some incredible footage and made some really cool videos about the $5,000 mint julep served in a gold or silver cup. So there's a lot of mystique to the Kentucky Derby, the same way there is with the Masters. Betting being up, no surprise, we're going to see legal sports betting go up every year. For me, just a little fun fact, seeing journalism lose, a little bit sad, but if I'm a cynic, I kind of had a feeling. And of all things, sovereignty beat journalism, and we won't get too political, but of course, Pete Hegseth had to tweet and say sovereignty beats journalism in the year 2025 in America. It was too perfect.
Yeah, 17.7 million were able to watch that happen, but it was, as you mentioned, it's always a fun event with just all the excitement around the race itself. But also looking at the Kentucky Derby on NBC, the network dropped the announcement of the return of Round Ball Rock. That anthem played back in 1990 to 2002 on the network. Huge childhood moments just brought back. And NBC Sports also announced with this past week that they have in their 11-year, $76 billion deal they're going to be rolling out in October. They're going to be rolling out the emergence of Carmelo Anthony as an analyst in studio. We've been seeing the Hall of Famer get more involved in podcasts, more involved in media, and now taking his talents to NBC Sports.
Yeah, well, our own Mike McCarthy had scooped months ago that Melo was talking both to Amazon and NBC. Of course, right now, because of that mega new rights deal, as you said, we're going to see a lot more former NBA talent become TV guys, and it's going to be really interesting. We're going to see who succeeds. Of course, over at Amazon, they've got Taylor Rooks and Dirk and some other people in the mix. Over at NBC, they're going to have Melo. So in a way, it's going to be like a tryout year for a lot of these big faces. And, we talked about Brady as an NFL broadcaster to death, but just because you were great in your sport doesn't always mean that you're going to be a charismatic, great broadcaster, either a color guy or a play-by-play guy. I wish Melo all the best. I think this will be interesting. I also like how NBC used having the Kentucky Derby as their chance to announce a lot of NBA stuff, really making hay, pun intended, horses, with the opportunity to pump their other properties.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. They were able to capitalize on all the viewership they had to also announce, hey, look, we've got more exciting things coming your way. So we are seeing more former players, Candace Parker, of course, D. Wade, now Carmelo Anthony, one of those later ones, along with Dirk Nowitzki as well. Well, on the college side, second-year Michigan football head coach Sherrone Moore is suspended for 2 weeks this upcoming season for his role in the Wolverines' 2023 scouting scandal. So let's take a look at that in our main event. Now, we heard the details. It's been an investigation going on for quite a while now, Dan, of the 52 alleged text messages that Moore deleted. Yeah. The involvement in staffer Connor Stalions' scandal of just the video footage where they were recording and stealing plays and implicating, or having, I should say, an opportunity to steal plays and then directly rolling it out. And we now have finally seen this investigation come to somewhat of a head with a self-imposed sanction that the university has been putting in place, where he's not going to miss weeks 1 and 2. He's not missing when he go up against high-profile non-conference game at Oklahoma or against his alma mater. He's missing weeks 3 and 4, and he's not going to be involved in any practices or anything else football-related through those 2 weeks.
Yeah, you said, I think this is the culmination, or I think if you're a Michigan hater, there's not much closure here, or I don't know if this is very satisfying to you. It's self-imposed, as you said, weeks 3 and 4. You got Nebraska in there, which should probably be a good game. The other one is like Central Michigan. I mean, I don't think they're going to miss him, or at least they'll probably be fine without him. You know, as soon as a scandal starts, if you find yourself deleting text messages, I think you're scrambling. It's like, it's like you're pushing the papers into the shredder. All this is really interesting because it's not the first scandal that we've seen about, getting footage of competing teams to try to get a leg up. The first spying, if you will, related scandal, and it's not going to be the last. Whether it's Spygate with the Patriots, I'm a Patriots fan, but look, they did it. Whether it's the Astros cheating scandal where they're doing sign stealing, basically sign stealing, I think a good analogy here, but when it comes to football. So again, if you're OSU, you just say, hey, Michigan, they're cheaters, and this doesn't really help with that. Of course, Connor Stalions, who was basically the scapegoat for all this, and I don't say that meaning to imply that they dumped it on him unfairly. I mean, it seems he was the guy, but someone sent him out there and assigned him to go to opposing teams' games and practices and get footage, right?
Right.
So this to me feels a little bit like a Band-Aid. It's very interesting because as we head into the season, will Michigan be good, right? I mean, they had just won it all, and then last season they weren't even really good enough in his first year as head coach. So a lot of pressure on them. Of course, also Michigan, interesting to us at FOS, from an NIL angle. We've covered how Larry Ellison, of all people, the billionaire Oracle founder, has given millions to the school, and he didn't even go there, but his girlfriend did. I'm sorry, his wife did.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, there's just so many layers to this. And starting with the fact that looking back at Stalions' work and the activity that happened of going out to games, taking video footage, text messages getting deleted. There's just a lot that we have seen that's very, very familiar when you look at other scandals that have happened. You brought up the Astros. We still call them cheaters for that. Of course, looking at the Patriots, still cheaters for Spygate, Deflategate, all the gates. And it's interesting, though, because then I wonder how much are these kind of like a slap on the wrist? Like you missed 2 weeks of the season. You're not missing the home opener or the season opener, against New Mexico. You're not missing that game against Oklahoma. You're missing just weeks 3 and 4, and then you're back out there like nothing happened. Yeah. I know the Astros had a lot more in terms of drafts and some fines that were rolled out, but it just feels like I don't know how much needs to be done to really set the precedent that this is unacceptable.
Yeah, and I don't know either. I mean, this is just self-imposed, right? So we have to wait and see, is there also still going to be an NCAA punishment, or is everyone hoping, well, if enough time goes by, everyone just forgets about this? But it's really hard to compare apples to apples in terms of the response here. Like, how much should it be? How much should they be punished? We know that there was the Harbaugh punishment. Of course, now he's sailed off into the sunset.
Exactly,
He's an NFL coach, and he left right after winning it all. So, when you look at other scandals across college football with recruitment, before the NIL era, there was basically under-the-table payments made. I don't quite know how you establish pro forma rules like if you did this much spying, you are suspended for this many games, or if you're deleted this many text messages, you're suspended for this long. But in some ways, again, self-imposed. I think this is Michigan trying to get out in front of it and say, yeah, we know, see, so we've punished.
Exactly.
And now to go away.
It's kind of like they're just trying to take accountability. We understand we were wrong. We're gonna put something in place
because look like they're taking accountability.
Exactly. Whereas the NCAA still has to continue their investigation, and a final resolution is actually expected to come out before the start of the season for what the NCAA is going to do in terms of this scandal. So more to come there, but also more to come here on Front Office Sports today, as our very own Baker Machado had a chance to sit down with Flau'jae Johnson ahead of all the talks around her return to LSU, all she's doing as a rapper, and much more coming up after this break. Welcome back to FOS Today, and with the Met Gala today, with the theme of superfine tailoring black style, a superstar herself, an LSU standout and rapper, Flau'jae Johnson, had a chance to sit down with her own baker before he went to Germany. Let's take a look.
Joining us in our Front Office Sports Today studio here in New York City, I'm so excited to have a superstar on the basketball court and, of course, in the music industry as well. Flau'jae Johnson. Flau'jae, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll talk a little bit about your music, your album, and you being on tour and a bunch of stuff here in just a moment. But I want to start, obviously, with the basketball questions. You are returning to college again for your final year. What was sort of that decision like to decide to play one more season, and is the goal to stay with LSU?
Yeah, it was just about development, how I could develop like as a player, my role on a team, you know what I'm saying, and just talking to Coach Moki, you know what I'm saying, about my decision. And it wasn't like an easy decision to come to, although like they only give you 48 hours after the draft.
Which is crazy that you have to decide so quickly after the Elite Eight to make that decision of what's happening next with your career.
Exactly, and I hate being rushed. So like, but I did think about it, but I felt like it wasn't the right decision for me, and I want to win before I, go to the WNBA. So I feel like now I'll be able to do that. There's some things that I had to work on in my game, but I feel like I just continue to improve. So my ceiling is very high.
Let's talk about the money here. NIL, you're one of the highest, compensated NIL athletes. What goes through your mind when you're about to make an NIL deal? Who do you sort of want to work with? I know you've got this, this partnership you've got going on with Foot Locker right now, but what's sort of a brand that you like working with, and how do you sort of decide who to do business with?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, who you like working with, what brands do I already wear, what's authentic, what's organic, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to do nothing that you're not really attached to it. Because it's not going to be fun. You don't want to represent that brand. So just something that I always do and always use. That's why I like with music, and I got a JBL deal. I got a deal with JBL, shoe deal, Puma, and I got a lot of different deals of stuff that I really like to do. One deal I want is like DoorDash, because like DoorDash is killing me.
Because you spend so much money on DoorDash.
I spend so much money on DoorDash, bro, like it's not even funny.
So this is our pitch to DoorDash, this interview. We'll just send this to them.
This is my pitch to DoorDash. Please sign me, bro. I get some e-credits or something.
I love that. And in terms of sort of your very diverse portfolio, I mean, you've helped out your family members. You've bought a lot of property. What sort of advice do you have in terms of like your financial mindset when you're diversifying your portfolio of things you're interested in?
This is like my first time having money and stuff like that, and so I want to be safe with it, but also it's scared money don't really make money, so you have to be able to invest. But I have a good team, and my mom, she's really smart. She's really cheap, so she's good with the finances, you know what I'm saying?
Is your mom the one that's telling you what you can and can't buy?
I mean, it ain't like that. She don't tell me what I can't. I'm gonna buy what I want to buy. But the way she give me my money and stuff like that, and she pays me, as an employee. So I don't have as much money as I really do.
Moms
what I'm
always do that.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm still kind of just living on a budget.
What was the first big thing that you bought yourself when you got that first great paycheck?
Probably buy land.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I got 20 acres of land in Georgia. So that was a big purchase. That was the biggest purchase. Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of people are like, no, I'm buying a car, I'm buying a bag. Good for you. Property value is going up.
It's going up. And cars, they don't have, I would have been still driving my Jeep. My 2014 Jeep, and my mama didn't make me get a car.
I love this. I love this. Your mom is so amazing. Let's also talk about your music career, because you've had a lot of great songs. Obviously, that one with Lil Wayne that came out last year. You have your new album, Flau'jae, that just came out just a few months ago. You also had a March Madness freestyle song that came out right before the tournament as well. But what I thought was interesting about this album, it's kind of more R&B based. Yeah. It feels like.
I do rap, but I can tap into different genres, and my palette is very, expanded. And I want to do a lot in music, different genres. So that's why I named the project Flau'jae instead of an R&B thing, just to show this is kind of me going into the R&B lane with having my own twist on it. So I was very excited to drop this project. And it's like the song on the project, the leading song, On the Way, is outstreaming all my other songs. Even the older ones, even the Lil Wayne songs.
So is there another genre maybe you want to try next? Are you into jazz? Are you into metal? What's coming next?
I'm really into alternative.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of alternative music. And I don't even know any alternative artists. I just go on click on what's hot.
So obviously you are just wrapping up a tour this last month. Is there plans for more shows coming down the horizon?
Yeah, I am wrapping up tour Boss Man D-Lo. I got one more date in Jacksonville. But yeah, that's definitely on the horizon. I'm trying to like figure out now how to drop my project and just roll out another project that I'm dropping. It's called For My Fans again. And it's like a sequel to a project that I dropped before called For My Fans. And so I'm gonna drop that and then I hopefully get to go on my own tour.
Well, you went on tour just a few weeks after the tournament.
Yeah.
And so was that difficult to sort of get in the mindset to go out on tour for all these shows, especially after such a big emotional roller coaster like the tournament was?
Yeah, I kind of told my mom when she first told me, like, let me tell you, when I first found out I was going on, when they asked me to go on a tour, it was like mid-season, so I was like, oh my God, bro, this is great, it's exciting. But then after we lost, I was like, I don't want to go on a tour, like, you know what I'm saying? But I ended up going. It was great for me just to get me out of that kind of like, that mindset, you know what I'm saying, of just being sad about the game. It was like, you got to start humping, you got more stuff that you got to do, so I just got to keep pushing.
Is it more difficult preparing for a basketball game, or getting ready to make music? Because I have a lot of friends in the music industry, and while they love making music, they say it is incredibly difficult to do.
It is difficult, but I would say basketball, just because there's so many different moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only person, like, I'm the only moving part. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it goes good, it's on me. If it go bad, it's on me. You know what I'm saying? With music, so. Do
you have any advice for those, especially athletes, getting into the NIL game about how to sort of manage this?
Yeah, I would say take 100% advantage of NIL. You only get 4 years. And I always tell people, like, these 4 years could set you up for the next 40 years. So you be smart with it and use it to your advantage. I feel like these colleges, for the past hundreds of years, they've been using athletes. Athletes been giving blood, sweat, and tears, nothing in return. So now I feel like it's about time, and just take advantage of it, but also keep the main thing the main thing. Because if you don't excel on the court, nobody's gonna want to sign you.
Flau'jae, thank you so much for joining us. The album, of course, Flaw and B, available on streaming services right now for you guys to listen to. And we got a lot more Front Office Sports coming up your way right after this.
Welcome back to Front Office Sports today. And with our mini sports equinox this past weekend, let's get into a little bit of shocked or not, Dan. Some fun we'll have here, starting over the WNBA, because the preseason games had the opportunity to go back to some alma maters for players, including the Indiana Fever facing off against Brazil and going back to Carver Hawkeye Stadium, where they sold out nearly 15,000 people that were in attendance. Those tickets sold out in just under 30 minutes, and they were loud. We saw Brazil wanting autographs from Caitlin Clark. We saw the fans all into it. On the other side for Chicago, with Haley Van Lith, Camila Cardoso, and Angel Reese returned back to LSU, about 50% capacity that was filled. Are you shocked or not by this?
Not shocked that Caitlin draws such enormous crowds. We had some great footage on our FOS socials of the people waiting outside to get in. Mm-hmm. I mean, all eyes right now on Caitlin Clark. Shocked a little bit that you didn't see the same numbers for the LSU bring back. By the way, just love that they go play at their alma maters. I think that's a really cool thing. Our women's sports reporter, Annie Costable, had a very cool story about the process there and how this came about. But I am a little surprised when you look at the momentum for the league. Again, it's just preseason, but you would like to see sellout crowds as a positive indicator that the league is going to have the same buzz right now as it did last year. And as I have said, last year was this incredible breakout year for the WNBA. As a result, though, the pressure is that much higher. The bar is that much higher. Now, again, it's just preseason. But once we get to the regular season, I would like to see all the teams getting these kind of record crowds. No surprise that Caitlin does. But it can't just be that only Caitlin sells big tickets.
Exactly. And love seeing Notre Dame, LSU, Iowa have that chance to bridge the gap between the college fans and the WNBA fans.
Really
Let's
cool.
hope it continues. Let's also hope that things continue with great attendance in Major League Baseball, because they had their best number of attendance in the month of April since 2017. Now, for the first full month of the league, we saw increases. Of course, the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers led the league in attendance. But teams like Juan Soto and the Mets, they were up 56%. We also saw just the average viewership just around 27,200 average attendance, So when you look at these numbers, Dan, are you shocked or not that Major League Baseball has had that increase? Shocked or not?
Shocked a little bit, but delighted. Baseball is back. I think this is a great story. You know, MLB has made a lot of changes to the game, pace of play, pitch clock, things that maybe were controversial at the beginning. And now you got to hand it to Rob Manfred. I know he might not be the most popular commissioner, but a lot of this stuff has worked. The games are faster. I just went to a Red Sox game 2 days ago in Boston, and we were struck by how quick the game moves and that pitch clock. I mean, suddenly it's like blink, and it's the 7th inning stretch already. So that has worked. I love that the interest is back in baseball. I mean, as a sports business reporter, like for years, the narrative around MLB was it's losing ground to the NFL and to the fast-rising social media league, the NBA. And it's not America's pastime anymore. But now, love seeing baseball back with a vengeance. Now, of course, the Dodgers and Mets have the best attendance. They also have the most money. And when you have the money, you buy the best players and you get butts in seats.
Well, also some of the losing clubs have been getting great attendance as well. But it is good to see the league is on track to possibly have the 3rd straight increase in terms of attendance, which would be like the first time that's happened ever.
Excellent.
But also something that we've seen, Game 7s this past weekend in the NBA and in the NHL. Now, one of those Game 7s, that double overtime thrilling win.
Woo!
The Jets Blues was insane. Some history. That's a 3rd longest Game 7 we've ever seen, but also some history as the 2nd time ever that a city had 2 teams in 2 different leagues playing in the same day in a Game 7. So you had in Denver, the Avalanche and the Nuggets. Are you shocked or not by that historic fun fact?
Shocked. Yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't happened more times. Now, of course, you would think, A, that it would have happened more, and B, that it would be in perennial contender cities.
That's
like
true.
If you said to me off the top of your head, how many times do you think one city has had dueling Game 7s, both home teams on the same night, and what cities would you think? I would think it's happened more often, and I would think it would be like Boston, LA,
exactly.
Maybe Philly is in there, New York, but instead Denver, the 2nd to do it. So that's pretty cool. And of course, the finish of that Winnipeg Jets game, just incredible.
Oh, beautiful. Chef's kiss. All right, let's see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler. Now, Dan, LASIK has been offering free surgery to officials and umps, and they're actually taking it. There's been about 10 different refs that have already taken the free LASIK surgery, about $5,000 procedures, and we've been seeing them trolling officials and umps, and I love the way that they are just taking this and running with it.
Yeah, really fun FOS story from over the weekend by Margaret Fleming. LASIK, which really, the LASIK is the procedure itself. Like, there's not a LASIK company, but then there's a number of different providers, and for months, they've been, as you said, trolling refs. I mean, the old joke is like, get your eyes checked, ref. What is that call? And so they're saying, want to get your eyes checked? You can get free LASIK.
Correct.
Margaret actually just dove into this, went down the rabbit hole, and more than 10 refs or umps have taken it. Now, they wouldn't tell us in which sports, but you got to assume some of those people are in baseball.
Yes.
Love this story. Think it's so funny. Really recommend everyone read it. I mean, if you're a referee, you say, yeah, I'll get free LASIK.
Yeah, and I love that my Phillies were in the center of that as well with JT Romuto's strike call. Coming up tomorrow on Front Office Sports Today, Baker joins us from Germany as he's doing an interview on the impact of AI on sports. And we've got a great interview coming right from here in studio as Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and Izzy Martinez join us to talk about real American freestyle. All that tomorrow, so we look forward to seeing you then here on Front Office Sports Today.